I think Wednesday's episode of Beyond the Gates is setting up several storylines that could have much bigger consequences than they first appear. Some moments look emotional, while others feel like they're quietly planting seeds for future twists. One storyline that immediately caught my attention is Randy Parker's conversation with Haley Hamilton. Haley brings up Lynette Wise and tells Randy that he dodged a bullet because of her. That's a very strange thing to say, considering Lynette mysteriously disappeared months ago, and no one knows what really happened to her. I was wondering if Haley knows more than she's letting on. The dialogue feels too deliberate to be meaningless, and it certainly raises questions about whether she played some role in Lynette's disappearance, or is simply taking credit for a situation she had nothing to do with. At this point, it's only speculation, but the writers seem determined to keep that mystery alive. Meanwhile, Dani Dupree turns to Anita Dupree with an important request, but Anita refuses. From everything we've seen, I think this likely involves Naomi Hawthorne's decision regarding her BRCA diagnosis and the possibility of a double mastectomy. Anita has always valued personal choice, so it would make sense if she refuses to pressure Naomi in any direction. Instead, Anita may believe the best thing she can do is support her granddaughter through an incredibly difficult decision, rather than influence it. Naomi also takes another major step by finally telling her father, Bill Hamilton, about her BRCA gene test results. The spoilers tease that Bill's response will be surprising. I didn't immediately assume that meant anger. It could just as easily mean he reacts with unexpected compassion, or regret that Naomi felt she had to carry such a heavy burden on her own. If there is disappointment, it may be less about the diagnosis itself and more about the fact that she waited so long to confide in him. Another conversation that could be surprisingly emotional happens between Nicole Dupree and Shanice Johnson as they openly discuss Ted Richardson. This meeting has the potential to be awkward because both women have significant emotional connections to Ted, and Shanice and Ted have recently admitted they're falling in love. I think this scene could reveal a lot about Nicole's emotional state. Rather than becoming a confrontation, it might offer both women a chance to express honest feelings and clarify where everyone stands. The most intriguing new development involves Deanna McBride. She meets a handsome stranger who needs her help, and that immediately raises questions. On the surface, it sounds like the beginning of a possible romance. However, I can't help wondering if the timing is too convenient. Joey Armstrong has already shown interest in keeping tabs on Doug McBride's family, and after Randy proved he may not be willing to betray Doug, Joey could easily decide to find someone else to do the job. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but the mysterious stranger could be exactly who he appears to be, or someone with hidden motives sent to get close to Deanna. Overall, I think this episode balances emotional family drama with plenty of mystery. The questions surrounding Lynette's disappearance continue to linger. Naomi's health journey moves forward with another difficult family conversation. Nicole and Shanice face an emotionally charged discussion about Ted, and Deanna's unexpected encounter could either open the door to romance or introduce a brand new threat. It feels like one of those episodes where seemingly ordinary conversations may end up having the biggest impact on the stories ahead. I think this episode balanced heavy family drama with emotional healing, while quietly setting up several stories that could become much bigger down the road. The most emotional moments centered on Dani and her family. When Nicole cryptically told Vernon and Anita that Dani had important news, they immediately feared the worst, especially because Dani has had emotional outbursts in the past. Thankfully, she quickly reassured them that nothing was wrong with Bill, before revealing the real reason for the visit. Naomi has tested positive for the BRCA gene. To me, this was one of the strongest scenes because it focused less on the medical diagnosis itself and more on how families process devastating news. Anita immediately blamed herself, but Dani reminded her that guilt and tears aren't what Naomi needs right now. Instead, she urged both parents to support Naomi on her own terms. Even though Anita agreed, the emotional weight became too much, and she broke down once Vernon stepped away. Dani then made a surprising request, encouraging Anita to convince Naomi not to go through with a double mastectomy. I was wondering whether this difference of opinion could eventually create conflict within the family, because everyone seems to want what's best for Naomi, even if they disagree on how to get there. Elsewhere, Elon took the first step toward repairing his fractured relationship with Isaiah by inviting him to Orphe Jean's. Isaiah only accepted because he feared there had been another family emergency, showing just how distant they've become. Once Elon explained that he simply wanted to make peace, the conversation naturally turned toward years of unresolved resentment. I think Elon showed genuine growth here. Rather than arguing about the past forever, he admitted that he was proud Isaiah had found something he truly excelled at, and said that was all he had ever wanted for his son. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but when Isaiah decided to stay for another cup of coffee, it felt like a small yet meaningful victory. Sometimes healing doesn't happen with one grand speech. It starts with choosing not to walk away. At another table, Vanessa excitedly shared with Nicole that Deanna seemed to be warming up to Joey. Nicole, however, remained cautious and advised her friend not to expect too much too soon. Their conversation eventually shifted to Nicole's complicated love life. Nicole openly admitted that Kyle satisfies both her emotional and physical needs, yet she isn't ready to give up the excitement of also seeing Carlton. I think Nicole knows exactly what she wants at the moment, but I also wonder how long that balance can realistically last. Relationships this complicated rarely stay comfortable forever. Meanwhile, Marcel tried pushing Jacob into another undercover assignment, despite that responsibility belonging to Elon. Marcel believed Jacob needed another major success to prove he was more than simply the chief's son. Jacob wasn't interested, insisting that he needed to stay close to home for now. When Elon discovered Marcel had approached Jacob behind his back, he didn't hold back. He reminded Marcel exactly who was in charge, and made it clear that crossing those professional boundaries wouldn't be tolerated. To me, this wasn't just about workplace authority. It also showed Elon becoming increasingly protective of Jacob, suggesting that family may now be taking priority over career ambitions. At the hospital, Eva checked in with Kyle about Kat's physical therapy progress. Speaking only hypothetically, Kyle hinted that Kat had already graduated from therapy and was recovering remarkably well. He also supported Ted's advice that Eva should remain focused on her own recovery instead of rushing back to work. Later, Shanice arrived for her appointment looking happier than ever, and Eva quickly noticed the change. She naturally assumed Shanice's glowing mood had everything to do with her growing relationship with Ted. That happiness continued when Shanice later excitedly told Kyle that she and Ted had finally exchanged declarations of love. Their private conversation was interrupted when Nicole arrived, and before long, the chemistry between Nicole and Kyle became impossible to ignore. Their flirting escalated into a passionate makeout session inside Nicole's office. During their conversation afterward, Kyle accidentally revealed that Ted and Shanice had officially reached the I love you stage. Nicole admitted she expected their relationship to keep progressing, but hearing it out loud still affected her more than she anticipated. Kyle gently questioned whether she had secretly been holding on to hope that she and Ted might someday reunite. I think that brief moment said a lot without needing a dramatic confrontation. Nicole insists she's happy with her current situation, yet Ted's emotional milestone clearly stirred up feelings she may not have fully dealt with. Whether she's willing to admit it or not remains to be seen. Looking ahead, the next episode promises another intriguing mystery as Haley and Randy discuss someone who has apparently been missing for quite some time. I didn't realize how curious that brief teaser would make me, but it definitely feels like the writers are preparing to introduce another storyline that could have major consequences. Whether it's connected to existing plots or someone completely unexpected, I think it's one of the biggest questions heading into the next episode. Beyond the Gates, spoilers. Deanna takes a risk, Naomi faces Bill's response, and Haley's secret may be exposed. The upcoming episode of Beyond the Gates looks packed with emotional confrontations, dangerous secrets, and a mysterious new arrival. From Naomi revealing her BRCA diagnosis to Bill, to Deanna crossing paths with a stranger who may not be who he seems, several storylines are about to take an interesting turn. One of the biggest moments centers on Naomi. She has already begun telling the people closest to her that she tested positive for the BRCA gene mutation and is seriously considering a preventative double mastectomy. I think this has been one of the show's more grounded and emotional storylines because it focuses on a deeply personal decision rather than just the usual soap drama. Now Bill is finally going to learn about Naomi's diagnosis. Their relationship has slowly been improving ever since Bill's health scare, but I was wondering whether this conversation would strengthen that progress or create another setback. According to the spoilers, Naomi is caught off guard by Bill's reaction. That immediately makes me think his response won't be what she was expecting. Whether it's unexpected support, guilt, or something more complicated, it looks like this conversation could change the direction of their relationship. At the same time, Dani turns to her mother, Anita, hoping to receive support. Instead, Anita refuses Dani's request. To me, that's a significant moment because Anita has often been a source of strength within the family. Her decision to say no suggests there may be deeper reasons behind her choice, and I'm curious whether she's trying to protect Dani or simply standing firm on a principle she refuses to compromise. Another emotionally complicated storyline involves Nicole and Shanice. Shanice opens up honestly about Ted, who recently admitted that he's falling for her. I didn't realize just how awkward this situation could become until these spoilers. Nicole is forced into a difficult position because she has her own unresolved feelings surrounding Ted. Shanice is looking to Nicole for guidance and understanding, but Nicole may end up feeling like she's letting her friend down simply because of everything she's keeping inside. This has all the ingredients for a messy emotional conflict that could affect all three characters. Meanwhile, Haley and Randy continue moving deeper into dangerous territory. Their plan to slowly poison Bill has already become one of the show's darkest storylines, and Haley has been growing increasingly impatient. In the upcoming episode, she tells Randy that he actually owes her because she took care of his Lynette problem. I think this line is especially interesting because it strongly hints that Haley may have been directly responsible for Lynette's disappearance. Of course, I could be wrong, and the writers may still have another twist waiting. But if Haley truly made Lynette disappear, it raises the stakes considerably and shows just how far she's willing to go to protect herself and complete her plan. The bigger question is whether Randy agrees that they're now even, or if he believes Haley still owes him. Finally, Deanna unexpectedly meets a handsome stranger who appears to need help. On the surface, this could be the beginning of a new romantic storyline, as she becomes more involved in the political world of Fairmont Crest. However, I have a feeling there may be more to this encounter than meets the eye. Joey has become increasingly suspicious of Deanna, and I was wondering if this stranger could actually be part of a setup designed to gain her trust or uncover what she's really doing. If that's the case, Deanna's decision to help someone in need could end up putting her in serious danger. Overall, this episode appears to balance emotional family drama with mystery and suspense. Naomi and Bill face an important turning point. Dani receives an unexpected rejection. Nicole finds herself caught in an uncomfortable emotional situation. Haley's confession may reveal a major secret, and Deanna's act of kindness could have consequences she never saw coming. Whether these moments lead to healing or create even more conflict, they all seem poised to push the story into its next major chapter. Beyond the Gates, spoilers, July 22nd. Shanice and Nicole have an honest talk. Bill is blindsided, and Deanna meets a mysterious stranger. I think the biggest emotional turning point recently was Ted and Shanice finally admitting what they truly feel. After Ted confessed that he was falling in love with Shanice, she couldn't bring herself to say the words back. Instead, she made an excuse and walked away. To me, that hesitation showed she was still carrying the emotional baggage from her past, and it almost stopped her from embracing what was right in front of her. Thankfully, she didn't let fear win. She later went to Ted's door and admitted that she was falling in love with him too. It was one of the sweetest moments for this couple, and it finally felt like they were moving in the same direction. Now the story shifts to another important conversation. Shanice sits down with Nicole for a completely honest discussion about Ted. I think this could be even more significant than the love confession itself. Nicole genuinely likes Shanice and has never seemed opposed to her relationship with Ted. But she's also the person who understands Ted better than almost anyone. That gives her a unique perspective. I was wondering whether Nicole will simply reassure Shanice that Ted is a good man, or if she'll offer advice based on everything she's learned throughout their history. Either way, this conversation has the potential to strengthen Shanice's confidence or make her think more carefully about what lies ahead. Meanwhile, Naomi continues sharing the difficult reality of her positive BRCA test results. She has already spoken with Anita and Vernon, but now it's finally Bill's turn to hear the news. What surprises me is that Bill apparently learns about it directly from Naomi, instead of hearing it through someone else first. The spoilers say Bill's reaction leaves Naomi stunned. That immediately makes me curious, because Bill is rarely predictable. Maybe he'll respond with unexpected compassion, or perhaps he'll react in a way Naomi never imagined. Either possibility could completely change the dynamic between father and daughter. Elsewhere, Dani's emotional state continues to unravel. She has been overwhelmed ever since her shocking night with Bill, and the guilt isn't going away. At the same time, Andre continues opening his heart to her, telling her how safe and comfortable he feels in their relationship. To me, that's what makes Dani's situation even more heartbreaking. She's trying to carry the weight of her secrets while someone she genuinely cares about is placing so much trust in her. On top of that, she's processing Naomi's health news, and Anita is reportedly preparing to give her daughter some much-needed tough love by refusing one of Dani's requests. I think that confrontation could become one of the episode's strongest emotional moments. Then there's Deanna, whose storyline keeps getting stranger. She's still determined to destroy her mother's relationship with Joey, even holding conversations with her deceased father as she works through her plans. Whether those conversations represent grief, denial, or something deeper, they continue highlighting just how emotionally conflicted she has become. The irony is that Joey already seems to realize Deanna isn't genuinely accepting his relationship with Vanessa. That means her strategy may not be fooling anyone. Adding another twist, Deanna suddenly encounters a handsome stranger who appears to need help. I may be wrong, but soap operas rarely introduce mysterious strangers without a larger purpose. Whether he's genuinely in trouble or connected to a much bigger storyline remains to be seen. The question is whether Deanna can trust him, or whether this meeting is about to create even more complications. Finally, Haley finds herself revisiting the mystery surrounding Lynette Wise's disappearance. She recently answered Smitty's questions as carefully as possible, trying to avoid revealing too much. It's still unclear whether Smitty believed her explanation. Now Haley tells Randy that she did him a solid regarding Lynette. I think that's an especially interesting line because it raises several possibilities. She could simply be referring to keeping Smitty from digging deeper, but there's also a chance she's talking about something much more significant that hasn't been revealed yet. Since Lynette's name keeps resurfacing, I don't think this mystery is going away anytime soon. Overall, this episode looks like it balances heartfelt relationship moments with family drama, emotional confrontations, and growing mystery. Shanice and Nicole's conversation may shape Ted's future. Bill's response could redefine his relationship with Naomi. Dani appears headed toward an emotional breaking point. Deanna's mysterious encounter feels like the beginning of a new chapter, and the lingering questions surrounding Lynette suggest that an even bigger reveal may still be waiting around the corner. Beyond the Gates. Spoilers for Thursday, July 23rd. Secrets, suspicious gifts, and dangerous motives. Thursday's Beyond the Gates promises another drama-filled episode as hidden agendas, emotional confrontations, and surprising revelations continue to reshape the lives of the residents of Fairmont Crest. From June sharing valuable information with Naomi to Dani receiving a gift that unsettles Andre, nearly every storyline takes an unexpected turn. One of the most intriguing moments belongs to June. I think she's one of those characters people sometimes underestimate, but her experience has always made her an important source of wisdom. She has witnessed countless events unfold over the years, and whenever she speaks up, there is usually a reason. This time, she passes along some intriguing information to Naomi. I was wondering whether this information could be connected to Madison's case. That seems like the most likely possibility, especially with several investigations still unfolding. Whatever June knows, it could give Naomi a fresh perspective, or even uncover a clue that others have overlooked. Meanwhile, Smitty and Jacob continue to prove how much their partnership has evolved. Their collaboration during the Red Market plasma ring investigation changed both of their careers. Smitty's reporting exposed the criminal operation, while Jacob relied on his investigative instincts to help bring the truth to light. Now Smitty's work is receiving major recognition, with his editor hoping to submit his investigative series for a prestigious journalism award. Even so, he's not finished digging. He approaches Jacob with a favor, and I can't help thinking this may involve Lynette Wise. Smitty has mentioned her several times recently, making me think she's connected to another story he's determined to uncover. Elsewhere, Dani and Andre face another emotional challenge. Their relationship has become increasingly complicated, especially since Dani has struggled with the emotional weight of her BRCA diagnosis. Although they've managed to reconnect in many ways, there's still a major secret Dani is hiding, one that could completely change Andre's view of their relationship. Things become even more complicated when Dani receives a mysterious gift. Whatever it is immediately alarms Andre. I think the biggest mystery isn't just what's inside the gift, but who sent it. If someone is trying to send Dani a message, the consequences could be much bigger than anyone expects. Bill, meanwhile, remains as stubborn as ever. Despite ongoing concerns about his health, he refuses to admit anything is wrong. At the same time, he still can't let go of Dani emotionally, making matters even more complicated. Thankfully, Vernon steps in to offer Bill some much-needed advice. Whether Bill actually listens is another question entirely. If history is any indication, changing his mind won't be easy. On the darker side of the story, Haley continues pursuing her own dangerous agenda. Her ultimate goal appears to be the enormous $10 million life insurance payout tied to Bill. With so much money at stake, she's determined to keep Randy focused on their plan. That's why she warns him to stay away from Mona. To me, that warning says a lot. Mona represents kindness, compassion, and a moral compass. She's even encouraging Randy to attend church, something that could make him question the path he's currently on. Haley clearly sees Mona as a threat because any change of heart could destroy the scheme they've been carefully putting together. Finally, Laura returns after being absent for quite some time. Anita has always considered Laura more than just one of Nicole's employees. After Laura played such an important role in organizing Winterfest, Anita began treating her like part of the family. That's why Anita surprises Laura with a thoughtful gift. While this moment appears much lighter than the other storylines, Beyond the Gates often uses seemingly simple gestures to strengthen relationships or quietly set up future developments. I may be wrong, but this heartfelt exchange could become more meaningful than it first appears. Overall, Thursday's episode blends heartfelt moments with growing suspense. June's valuable information, Smitty's continued investigation, Dani's unsettling gift, Bill's refusal to face reality, Haley's dangerous manipulation, and Laura's return all suggest that several major storylines are quietly building toward even bigger revelations in the episodes ahead. I think Wednesday's episode of Beyond the Gates looks like it's going to move several storylines forward at once, and a few moments really caught my attention. The first thing I was wondering about is Naomi finally telling Bill about her BRCA gene test results. That isn't an easy conversation to have, so I expected Bill to react emotionally. But from what I've seen, the spoilers suggest his response will completely catch Naomi off guard. I'm curious whether this is the moment where Bill puts aside his usual attitude and genuinely supports his daughter, or if his reaction surprises her for an entirely different reason. It could reveal a side of Bill we haven't seen in a while. Another storyline that stands out to me is Dani visiting Anita. Dani makes a request, but Anita immediately refuses. To me, that's surprising because Anita is usually someone Dani can turn to, even when they don't agree. That makes me think Dani must be asking for something serious, something Anita believes would only make the situation worse. I could be wrong, but it feels like this conversation could expose deeper family tensions. Nicole and Shanice also have an interesting scene together as they openly discuss Ted. I didn't expect these two to have such a healthy relationship considering Shanice is dating Nicole's ex-husband. After Ted and Shanice admitted they're falling in love, their romance has clearly reached another level. The big question for me is whether Nicole encourages Shanice to follow her heart or warns her about the mistakes Ted has made in the past. I think Nicole has every reason to be cautious, but she also seems mature enough to separate her own history from Shanice's future. Then there's Haley meeting with her cousin and partner in crime, Randy. This storyline immediately raises red flags for me because Haley claims she did Randy a favor involving Lynette Wise. Lynette has been missing for quite some time, so hearing her name connected to another secret meeting definitely feels suspicious. I can't help but wonder if the truth about Lynette is getting closer to coming out, or if Haley and Randy are digging themselves into an even deeper hole. The biggest mystery, though, might be Deanna's encounter with a handsome stranger who needs her help. At first glance, it sounds like the beginning of a new romance, and I'd like to see Deanna finally have something positive happen in her life. On the other hand, I can't ignore the possibility that this could be another trap. If Joey Armstrong is somehow involved, then what looks like a chance meeting could actually be part of a much larger scheme. To me, that's the storyline with the most unpredictable outcome. Overall, I think this episode balances emotional family drama with suspense and mystery. Naomi's difficult conversation with Bill, Dani's unexpected rejection by Anita, Nicole and Shanice navigating their complicated connection through Ted, Haley and Randy's suspicious alliance, and Deanna's mysterious new encounter all have the potential to push their stories in exciting new directions. I may be right or wrong, but my biggest question going into this episode is whether these surprising conversations will strengthen relationships or create even bigger problems. Either way, it looks like Fairmont Crest is about to become even more complicated. Greg Vaughn's emotional post has Beyond the Gates fans wondering if Dr. Kyle Rollins is leaving. I think Greg Vaughn's latest Instagram post is exactly the kind of message that gets soap fans paying close attention. He never mentioned Beyond the Gates by name, but the timing and the way he framed his thoughts have definitely sparked speculation. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, or maybe fans are noticing something real, but it certainly feels like one of those posts that leaves plenty of room for interpretation. Vaughn shared a heartfelt reflection about both his life and career, writing, "My heart is full. My purpose is just getting started. I'm grateful for my life, my family, the people who consistently show up, and the lessons that shaped me. Every challenge has become preparation. Every blessing has become perspective. I haven't arrived. I'm simply grateful for how far God has brought me and excited for everything that's still ahead." To me, that message sounds more like someone looking ahead to a new phase than simply celebrating the present. Of course, it doesn't specifically reference Beyond the Gates, so it could just as easily be about his personal life or another professional opportunity. He followed that with another note thanking the people who have supported him throughout his journey. "Thank you to everyone who's been part of my journey. Family, friends, fans, colleagues. Your encouragement has meant more than you know." The line that really caught everyone's attention came at the end. "Here's to the next chapter." That simple phrase is what seems to have fueled the latest wave of speculation. In the soap world, fans are always looking for clues, and the next chapter naturally makes people wonder whether an actor is preparing to move on. What made the discussion even more interesting was a comment from Vaughn's Beyond the Gates co-star, Robert Christopher Riley, who plays Dr. Carlton Fitzgerald. Riley replied, "Love and miss ya, buddy." I can understand why that comment immediately grabbed fans' attention. Saying miss ya makes it easy to assume the two actors are no longer working together regularly. Still, it could simply reflect their friendship off-screen rather than confirm anything about Vaughn's status on the show. Greg Vaughn joined Beyond the Gates in 2025 as recurring character Dr. Kyle Rollins. Even without being a full-time cast member, Kyle quickly became a popular addition thanks to his complicated involvement in the love triangle with Nicole Dupree Richardson and Dr. Carlton Fitzgerald. The storyline had been building steadily, and many viewers were looking forward to seeing how those relationships would evolve. At this point, though, I think it's important not to jump to conclusions. Neither Vaughn nor CBS has announced that he is leaving Beyond the Gates. His Instagram post is open to interpretation, and Riley's comment, while intriguing, isn't official confirmation of anything. For now, all of this remains speculation. Maybe Vaughn was hinting at a new opportunity. Maybe he was simply reflecting on his personal journey. Or maybe there really is a change coming for Dr. Kyle Rollins. Until an official announcement is made, fans can only read between the lines and wait to see whether this emotional message truly signals the end of Kyle's story, or just the beginning of another chapter in Greg Vaughn's career. Beyond the Gates, Naomi's BRCA secret changes everything. Ariel Prepetit opens up about the emotional storyline. I think Beyond the Gates has just delivered one of its most emotionally powerful storylines so far. Naomi Hamilton Hawthorne's long-hidden secret has finally come to light, and the fallout is affecting not only her family, but everyone closest to her. To me, this wasn't just another soap twist. It became a deeply personal story about fear, difficult choices, and the importance of having people who stand beside you when life takes an unexpected turn. For weeks, Naomi allowed her family to believe she had tested negative for the BRCA gene mutation. Then came the shocking confession. She had been hiding the truth the entire time. Naomi is actually BRCA positive, a revelation that left the Dupree family stunned. I didn't realize how much emotional weight this secret had been carrying until it finally came out. Looking back, it makes sense why Naomi struggled to tell the people she loved. Living with that kind of fear and uncertainty isn't something anyone handles easily. Now Naomi faces an even bigger decision. She is considering a preventative double mastectomy to significantly reduce her risk of developing breast cancer. As expected, everyone around her has a different perspective. Some members of her family are having a difficult time accepting the possibility of such a major surgery, while others are focused on supporting her no matter what she decides. To me, that's what makes this storyline feel authentic. It reflects how real families often respond differently when faced with life-changing medical decisions. Actress Ariel Prepetit recently spoke with Soap Steph's Daytime Dish newsletter about filming these emotionally charged scenes, and her comments reveal just how deeply she connected with Naomi's journey. She admitted that the experience was physically and emotionally intense, explaining that she could actually feel the stress building in her chest while performing those scenes. I think that's part of what made Naomi's emotions feel so genuine on screen. It never felt forced, it felt lived in. One of the most touching moments came when Naomi chose to tell Dani first. According to Prepetit, working alongside Carla Mosley made those scenes especially meaningful. She explained that acting with Mosley naturally brings out raw emotion, making it easy for her to become vulnerable. Prepetit shared, "The first person Naomi told was Dani, so I got to do those scenes with Carla, and there's just something about acting with Carla. She can just make me cry. I just get so vulnerable and cry with Carla. I don't know what it is as a person or her as Dani. It just came out, and it felt so good to feel that with her. So I was really glad that that was the first person that Naomi told." I was wondering how those scenes felt so authentic, and hearing Prepetit's explanation makes it clear that the chemistry between the actresses played a huge role. Naomi's next difficult conversation was with her husband, Jacob. She had to explain not only why she lied about her test results, but also why she was considering preventative surgery. Those scenes could have easily turned into conflict, but instead, they highlighted something much more meaningful. Prepetit revealed that Jacob's response genuinely moved her because, despite having his own concerns and opinions, he chose to support Naomi rather than judge her. She reflected, "There was just so much that she had to explain, and for him to be as understanding as he was really sweet to me." She continued by explaining that Jacob's willingness to stand beside Naomi convinced her that this marriage has a solid foundation. Even when he doesn't completely agree, he respects that the decision ultimately belongs to Naomi. As Prepetit put it, for him to stand by her side, even though he has his own thoughts and opinions, I was like, oh yeah, that's the kind of support you need in a marriage. They're going to be fine. That's how I felt when I read the scene. I was like, they're going to be fine because he is supporting her choice, because it is ultimately her choice. To me, that may be one of the most important messages this storyline has delivered. Support doesn't always mean having the same opinion. Sometimes it simply means standing beside the person you love while they make an incredibly difficult decision for themselves. Naomi's journey is far from over. Deciding whether to undergo a preventative double mastectomy is an emotional and deeply personal choice, and the challenges ahead are likely to test both her and those around her. But I think the foundation that has been established between Naomi and Jacob gives this storyline a sense of hope. If they continue communicating with the same honesty and compassion we've seen recently, they may come out of this stronger than ever. Whether I'm right or wrong, I believe Beyond the Gates is treating this storyline with the seriousness and sensitivity it deserves. Instead of relying on dramatic twists alone, the show is exploring real fears, family dynamics, and the emotional impact of hereditary cancer risk. That's what makes Naomi's journey resonate beyond the typical soap opera drama, and it will be interesting to see where her story goes next.